Sometimes you really don't realize how much you've grown until you look into your past. I'm not like coming out as a serial killer or anything, but the rampant homophobia in Friends, the inflato-sized boobs that most female video game characters had. I mean, I adore Friends overall, and as a hormone-infused teenager across the 2000s, I was all for that old school Tifa, but times have changed. All the violence, sexual imagery, and little boys club mentalities have since been completely washed away, making things like the sorceress from Dragon's Crown stick out like the callback to a bygone time it was. Now, anyone who's a gamer at heart, someone who knows their emotion engines from their Mode 7 or their Ganondorfs from their Dr. Neocortexes, knows this period of time like the back of their hand. The torrent of things you had to hide from your parents, only discuss with the best of friends, or otherwise not shout about until you're in trusted company. Gaming's lineage of smut, gore, and other experimental factors goes hand in hand with its hobbyist origins, and it's what makes everything so nostalgic. But oh sweet dear God, have there been some stupid things programmed into certain titles over the years. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are 9 shameful gaming moments you'll never live down. And let's just share all this together, it'll be a growing experience. Number 9. Taking pictures of abuse victims in Metal Gear Solid 4. The original horny-on-main Hideo Kojima has always been a bit of an off-kilter genius. Want a sequel where the coolest established character in gaming history is playable for 30 minutes? You got it. How about writing a fiction where a man made of bees helped win World War II, or a muscle-bound colonel can fire bullets from his fingertips? For the complete blowout of insanity that was Metal Gear Solid 4, its bosses were meant to be mashups of characters from the series past, taking on animalistic traits whilst underneath, their motives were defined from things like watching their parents get slaughtered or surviving an encampment being raided. Just, you know, light stuff. Naturally, but not really, Kojima chose a series of Japanese models to portray these characters, and during battle when they're helplessly walking towards you, if you evade for long enough, you'll get a bonus mode where they'll do a variety of sexual poses whilst you take pictures. Nothing overcomes the death of your parents like bending over and sticking your ass out. Batman would have been a whole other story. Number 8. Amping up the boob physics in Dead or Alive 2. Back in the day, Dead or Alive's first cross-generational jump onto the PS2 ended up pitting it directly against Tekken Tag Tournament. Although it wasn't just a perfected fighting engine that had teenagers enraptured worldwide. Nope, alongside a gratuitous gallery mode where concept sketches of ladies like Tina Armstrong had chest-heavy lady cannons that could take down the Mary Celeste, you could actually dive into the settings and alter your quote-unquote age. Brilliantly, hilariously, oh godly, this directly related to the size of the boobs in question. So naturally, what did any hormonal 13-year-old do at this time? Set it to 99. Sit back and revel in the jigglery. Oh, and if you thought Tecmo have got any better, Dead or Alive 5 let you map the motion controls of a PS3 controller directly to some in-game boobs, with DOA 6 then charging $90 for more revealing skins. You do you, Dead or Alive fandom, you do you. Number 7. Enjoying the torture in GTA 5. Something that divided people in one fell swoop back in 2013 was GTA 5's Trevor, a character who's completely devoid of any moralistic worth, stomps people's faces to death after sleeping with their partners, invades homes of those he's exploited, and at one point even alludes to eating people. Understandably, you're either going to be with him or firmly opposed. Rockstar went one step further though, having a mission where playing as him, you'll torture a suspect who's allegedly got information on a target that needs taking out. The whole thing was supposed to be a comment on forced coercion and the unreliability of information attained through duress. But it was also cack-handed and glorified through animation, camera angles, and specific controller actions like wiggling the stick to pull a tooth out. The focus became entirely, just look at this torture sequence we're letting you control. Still, despite heavy criticisms, the message boards lit up with people saying that they enjoyed it, that it wasn't a big deal, and that they'd replayed it multiple times just to see what they could get away with. To be fair, it's not like Trevor wasn't having the time of his life. And if you were playing into Rockstar's side of things, they wanted you to get carried away. As Phillips later remarks that torture is for the torturer, for the good times, and it's useless as a means to extract information. Maybe that makes you think on how carried away all sorts of real-world torturers probably get. Or just douse the guy in gasoline and set him on fire again. Number 6. Locking the butler in the fridge in Tomb Raider. Something more light-hearted for a change. As long as slow, agonizing, isolated death by way of being trapped in a room is lighthearted in the first place. It's another one of those things that is more messed up the more you think about it. Because exactly why did so many people en masse decide that they were going to try and lock the innocent Winston Smith in the room-sized freezer? Nearly everyone did it at some point, despite the game not giving you any indication or prerogative outside of a slightly creepy character model. Chalk it up to any human's inbuilt need to see what devious schemes we can enact and get away with. As for pretty much everyone reading this, poor Winston is still locked in their respective cooler to this day. Number 5. Loving the over-sexualization of Ivy in Soul Calibur. There was once a time, albeit just the very first Soul Calibur, when Ivy didn't have small planets for breasts. From Soul Calibur 2 onwards though, and totally peaking pun intended in Soul Calibur 4, Namco realized they were definitely onto something when it came to over-sexualizing Ivy in particular. Obviously teenage me and you loved it, but if you ever look back on anything like the original Tomb Raider design, Final Fantasy VII's Tifa cutscene model, or this particular smushed together love letter to a 12-year-old boy's deepest desires, it's pretty clear gaming wasn't helping itself when it came to appealing to anyone outside the go-to basement living stereotype mentioned in every sitcom at the time. Number 4. Seeking out the uncensored mod for the Punisher's interrogations. Back in the lead up to the Punisher's 3-day debut in 2006, there was a huge amount of press doing the "won't you think of the children" dance. Mainly because of GTA's trilogy of carnage across 3, Vice City and San Andreas, reactionary outlets like Fox News or the Daily Mail made it their mission to get gaming's darkest material up as the Antichrist. As a core part of gameplay was interrogating anyone you like by way of controlling your force with the right analog stick, this was deemed far worse than anything that had gone before. Because you were now in direct control of torturing someone, it led to THQ amending their code and adding a black and white filter over every gory scene, as well as making the camera hilariously dart away from any of the executions just as the most brutal part of the animation was about to kick in. This all stayed in place for, a few seconds. Even the PC demo had a hackers mod mentioned alongside it at every turn. Something that come the release of the final game meant that nobody on Earth actually played the Punisher the way that it was released. Were you gonna pass up watching some perp get his teeth mashed on a curb or being fed eyeball first into the business end of an industrial drill? Of course not. Number 3. Wanting to buy BMX XXX for everything other than the gameplay. Remember this thing? Acclaim knew they were onto something smutty and special when they figured, due to gaming's association with teenage boys and the internet of the time reaching hair-blasting speeds of 56 kilobytes, they could essentially deliver video games equivalent of putting a porn mag inside a newspaper. Obviously, in search of pure nipple and dong-fronted sales, they didn't focus a whole lot on the gameplay side, resulting in some fantastically low scores despite the Dave Mirra engine being used, making it one of the worst reviewed titles of the entire generation. Luckily for them, not a single person bought this for anything other than the idea of seeing some skin, which was still censored in various versions in the end anyway. Number 2. Enjoying mowing down thousands of people in GTA. When you think about it, killing scores of pedestrians in GTA shouldn't be fun. There's no bonus for doing it, nothing gameplay-wise that makes it stand out as a particularly enjoyable thing to do, or even across all the games in the series, there's never been one mission or task centered around mowing down hapless groups at all. Instead, it's something that's become synonymous with the series purely because of our experimentation with each game's engine. You could always say the same about the prostitutes too, as there was always room for a spectacular misfire whenever some accusatory news anchor was attempting to proclaim GTA as the game where you kill the prostitutes, only for anyone with a brainstem to think, well, that stuff is optional and if you did it, you brought it on yourself. Back to the people mowing though, as Rockstar have attempted various things to get you to stop. From advanced physics destroying your car and potentially sending you careening off to the side after a while, to a completely omniscient police force who'll drop a 3-star wanted level on you even if they're nowhere near the crime scene. Is that going to stop you though? Of course not. It's just another challenge to see how many people you can reduce to smushes on the pavement and then survive amongst the ensuing chaos. And number 1, doing everything in your power to find naked Lara Croft. As the saying goes, teach a man to fish and he'll go watch porn instead. Because Naked Raider became the 2 schoolyard buzzwords that, when combined, led to one of the best/worst wild goose chases in gaming history. There was barely the smallest hint that it was real. Such was the internetless barren wasteland that became the 90s gaming scene. Hearsay and rumor were gospel, and what started out as one mod for the PC version of the game, not even remodeling the character, literally just reskinning her upper half to be flesh colors, soon turned into every hot-blooded PlayStation owner under the sun buying all sorts of third-party Game Sharks or Exploder cheat cartridges, trying desperately to see it for themselves. Fun fact though, Laura's chest missiles were actually caused by a random bug in the first place. According to designer Toby Gard, he reportedly had his character model freak out on him one day, only for the team to convince him to leave this new version of Laura in. They apparently thought in that moment that the marketing was on the wall. And, well, how right they would be. It does make me wonder if Tomb Raider would still have been gaming history without such an overblown sexual element, but considering how much naked Lara is more well known than literally any level in any of the franchise's games, it does make me wonder. And that is my rundown of all sorts of past shameful moments that we all experienced, and yet we very rarely talk about them. Let me know your own favorites down in the comments below, and please subscribe to the What Culture Gaming podcast. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.